Okay, so this is the first of at least 3 sections of notes for 11.3. We're actually going to do some math and statistics. To warm up, we'll review these 3 terms: mean, median, and mode. So in math, the word mean is a synonym for average. To find the average, you take the total sum of your numbers and divide by, how do I want to say this? Divide by how many numbers there are. Median, just like if you're driving on the highway, median means middle. So median is the middle number. So you have to put the numbers in order, smallest to largest, and find the middle. Sometimes you'll have to find the average of 2 numbers. And then mode is the most common number. There can be 1 mode or 2 modes or no modes. Mode is most common. So in this section, we're talking about standard deviation. It is a measure of how spread out the data is. Standard deviation is calculated by finding the square root of the average of the squared differences from the mean. So that probably makes no sense because we've never done it before and it was kind of confusing. So we're going to do 3 examples. You will want to have a calculator if you don't have one already, so go ahead and grab one, pause the video and grab one. Example 1 gives us 5 numbers. So to calculate the mean, we're going to add those 5 numbers together and divide by the total number of numbers, which is 5. So if we take that sum and divide by 5, we get 394. Again, make sure you're doing this on a calculator or go back and do it later. Step 2 is kind of the one that takes the most time. Find the difference between each value and the mean and square it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do each number minus the mean, and then I'm going to leave it in squared form. I'll show you what I mean. So 600 minus 394 is 206. So I want to do 206 squared. Plus 470 minus 394, that's 76 squared, plus negative 224 squared, plus negative 94 squared, plus 36 squared. So I've got all those numbers. I'm actually going to leave it like that. For now. So that's step 2. Find the difference between each value and the mean, and then square it. Step 3, I'm going to find the average of those things. So the sum of those numbers from step 2 is 108,520. I need to divide by how many things there are. I'm going to divide by 5. That gives me 21,704. Last step, step 4, is to take the square root of that thing. So the square root of 21,704 is my standard deviation, which is 147 point, I cleared my calculator, so let me put it back in there. Square root of 21,704 is 14.3. So that number is my standard deviation. Again, it's a good idea for you to have your own calculator and check these because you will have to do this at some point on your own. Standard deviation is represented by the Greek letter sigma. Looks kind of like that, like a cherry almost. For this given data set, it tells you that most of the data is within 147.3 units of the mean. So it's telling us that most of the data is that close to the mean. We'll actually use this later, but for now we're just calculating stuff. All right, example 2. Find the standard deviation of the following data set. I wish this was kind of on the next page. So here are the 6 numbers for this data set. Step 1. Step 1, I found the mean. Step 2, I need to find the difference between each value and the mean. I found the difference between each value and the mean, and then I squared it. Average, or the average of age, I think. Yeah. 1. I'll go ahead and write them at the top so you can see them. 75, 83, 96, 100, 121, 125. Okay, so first I need to find the mean of these numbers. So I'm going to add them up and divide by 6. My mean is 100. So following the same steps that I did from example, square it. So 75 minus 100. So this was step 1. Step 2. Negative 25 squared plus negative 17 squared plus negative 4 squared plus 0 squared plus 21 squared plus 25 squared. That's step 2. Step 3, I need to find those values. So if I add up all those things, I get 1,996. I want to divide by how many things there are. So even though one of them was a 0, that still counts. So divided by 6 is 332 point some stuff. I think it's 6 repeating. I don't really want to round that yet. Step 4 is to take the square root of that number. So 332.6 repeating. So my standard deviation, sigma, is 18.2. Again, you need to be doing this stuff on your own, so I'm going to pause the video, give you some time to try example 3 on your own, and then I'll come back with all the work finished. So here is that work for example 3. The mean was 6.5. Step 2, found the difference between each number and the mean and squared it. Step 3, find the average of that data. Step 4, take the square root of that thing. That gives me a standard deviation of 3.3. Again, work through these examples on your own. Make sure you can get this standard deviation stuff down so you can find it, because we will be using it later in this chapter.